Ladies and gents, hello and welcome to my living room. Wow. If you had told me a couple of weeks ago that we would be running Lane4 sessions from my living room, I probably wouldn't have believed you. So my name's Gary Prout. This is the inaugural Lane4You session live on YouTube. And I'm going to be talking about a few of my experiences today and how they've influenced the way I'm working. Now, with Lane4, we realised that this whole coronavirus is having a huge impact on organizations and individuals. And what we want to do is we want to create a community to share some of our experiences, share maybe a little bit of our advice. But you know what? Because it's a community, we need you guys to ask questions. We would also love you guys to give us some of your advice. So if you would comment below, that would be hugely appreciated. Let's share our knowledge. Let's create this great community and let's support one another to get through this year. So over the next couple of days, there's going to be a couple of different sessions. On Thursday, we're going to have resilience and well-being. And next Tuesday is going to be comms. And then a week Thursday is going to be goal setting. So that gives you an idea of what's coming up in the near future. Today, I'm going to be focusing mainly on thriving in isolation. So I've worked at Lane4 for 4 years now. And previous to that, I spent 12 years in the British Army. I worked in very small, very specialized teams, and it meant that we could get shifted and changed and moved around where we were needed on the battlefield. Now, if I think about my current context, my wife is classed as a key worker. I've got 2 very young kids. They're both at nursery because I've got injuries, which mean it would be very difficult to support them and to look after them through the day. So my life is in 2 real different areas at the minute. From early morning to late in the afternoon, I'm completely isolated. I'm completely by myself. And then late in the afternoon, right through to the next morning, I've got everybody in the house and they're all feeling cooped up and isolated. So I'm living kind of both worlds at the minute. So I'm going to talk about the isolation point in particular and what I do whenever I'm isolated to help me perform at my best. Now, whenever I think back to the kind of time in Afghanistan that really influenced my experience of isolation, we actually trained to go out to Afghanistan and be part of an armored infantry company. So we would be driving around in the armored vehicles. We would be going out in the ground for 2, maybe 3 days at a time, and then we would plan on going back to the main base to resupply, to get all of our admin sorted in order to be ready to go out again. So it was this nice rhythm and routine. We arrived in Afghanistan. We got a brief that kind of alluded to our roles changing. And what quickly happened was we got deployed out to 2 very isolated locations. One of them that was extremely isolated was a little patrol house. There was only 20 of us in this building. I actually have some video of the compound, and we got placed into this compound, which is about 25 meters by 20 meters. And this is where we found ourselves. Now, if I think about whenever we initially went into this compound, we were probably going through the change curve: shock, anger, denial. We were saying things like, why are we doing this? This isn't our job. This is not what we expected to do. This isn't where we should be. So we just kind of made do with what we had. We kind of just slept on the floor. We had the rudimentals, but it was completely basic. And then after 3 or 4 days, there came this realization of, you know what, this might be our future. This might be us staying here for a while. And we got into that acceptance phase. So then what we started to do was we started to build a kitchen. We built up our beds. We made our own little private personal areas. We started to get into rhythms and routines of what it was we were actually going to do through the day. Now, as we established these working routines, these patterns, we created little rules around it to help us really be at our best. So the work patterns, we created schedules of who was on what duty they were doing. And we actually created dress for each one of those kind of challenges and things we were going to do. So if you were on Sanger duty, you would have all of your body armor, your helmet, all of your equipment on. If you were on radio duty, you'd be in your combat saloon, you would have your rifle by your side. And these were great physical cues to let you know that this is professional you at the minute. You're no longer just chilling out in the workplace. This is you being professional. We also created the environment around people whenever they were in this professional working place. So if you were in the Sanger, it was a professional working environment. It was protected. You had all of the equipment you needed so that you didn't have to leave. That was you fixed in that position. In the comms center, in the command post, you would have your radio. You would have all of the stuff you needed to command from that place. So there was this thing about making sure that we weren't sitting on our beds being on the radio. We would actually be in the command post working away. We established personal time. It's unrealistic to expect people to be working constantly and just without break. The only break they get is whenever they're sleeping. So we built in some personal time. And a lot of the stuff we've done in the personal time was things like physical health. So we built our own gyms. We created little games. We made chessboards. It was all these little things. We tried to make that personal time as kind of similar to the life that they previously had, but in a very foreign place. Hope that kind of makes sense. So it was all about finding this routine, getting a pattern, a rhythm of life, and enabling people, whenever they were doing their job, to do the job to the best of their ability. They weren't fatigued. And it took times where we had to create, we had to make up maybe a few lessons, because let me tell you, there's nothing more dangerous than a bored soldier. So there is that awareness of, let's not be bored, let's keep busy, let's keep things at the tip of their mind. There's also a need within Afghanistan to recognize what works for you, and also to be aware that if you do hit a hurdle, how do you get back? How do you get back to what was helping you before? Because the moment you hit a hurdle, you tend to drop the things that are helping you at their best. And it is that point of recognizing and regaining control so you can focus on the things that are helping you get through on a day-by-day basis. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please comment below, ask me more questions on it. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on what's helping me through my days at the minute. But just so you're aware, I'm on medication for a life-changing injury, and it messes with the way my brain can talk to itself. So if anything doesn't make sense, let me know, and I'll either answer it now or I'll send you a message later on. So what am I doing? What are my lessons that I took away from the military? Well, routine. I cannot say this enough. If you're living in isolation, have a plan. At the minute, mine is preparing for the day. The first thing I do, I wake up in the morning, I get my kids ready for nursery, I get them the milk, I get them breakfast between me and my wife. I have my breakfast, and everything about the morning is about setting me up for success to start working. I then have my working day. At the beginning of the day, I work out kind of how long I'm going to work. I have a look at my schedule, decide what times I need to be on calls. Therefore, when do I need to have my breaks? And I schedule it out piece by piece, chunk by chunk. Now, as my working day finishes, I then start to prepare for the family getting home. That'll be things like making the food, getting food ready for them to arrive in. They've just had a long day. They need to eat dinner as soon as they get in. I start to get the bath time routine set up. I get my pajamas out because I get changed at the same time as the kids. They love to get a bath. They love to chill out and kind of calm down before they go to bed with both me and my wife. So we get that ready. And then the final bit is them actually arriving home. It is dedicated family time. I cannot explain to you how difficult it is to spend my whole day in isolation. I'm sure some of you are in the same position, so you may understand, but it is really tough for me being away from the kids, from my wife all day. So whenever they do get home, I drop my work phone, I drop my laptop. My time is completely my family's. I have not worked any additional time outside of working hours since COVID hit. I know that's going to be difficult for some of you. I know it's going to be very impossible, but I challenge you. Do you really need to send this email now? Is there going to be anybody on the other side to receive it? If not, do you need to be sending it? I really encourage you to try to step away outside of hours. So that was my routine. The second one is environment. So what environment have I created around me in order to be able to perform at my best? The first one I do is I get dressed. This isn't completely Lane4 dress standards. This is a little bit relaxed, but I'm not one of these people who I've seen on Facebook who can get up, stay in their pajamas all day and just get on with their job. No, It sends the wrong message to me mentally. I need to get dressed for the day to set myself up for success. The second thing I do is I create a working environment, a working platform in and around me. I don't have a big house, but what I do have is a dining table and a little corner with no distractions in front of me. So I sit down here, I have no distractions, and I can get on with my working day. I know when I'm in this location, I am here to work. I try not to sit it at any other times. So that is my location. And the third one kind of relates a little bit to that one, is distractions. I have switched off the news notification on my phone. There was just too many negative messages coming in from the news stations. It's binned. I've switched off the notifications ping on my phone for social media. So it is binned. What I actually do is I look forward to my breaks, so I can maybe have a look at social media. I can maybe take a break away from here. I can maybe check up on the news if it's the 1 or 2 times a day that I check up on it. But I am free from distractions in this location. The third one I do is goals. Not going to talk about this too much because Mark Richardson's going to talk about it Thursday next week. Olympian, immense with goal setting. He will do it absolute justice. I cannot measure up to his kind of standards. But what I do is I sit in the morning and I think to myself, what will make today a success? I've got both professional and personal goals. One of my personal ones is I've got a gaming computer. It runs for 8 hours a day, breaking it's a thing called folding the code for COVID. So in the background, I am actually fighting COVID as I'm sat here talking to you. That's incredible. That means a lot to me. Some of the other things I do is my working goals. So what do I need to do today that will make my working day a success? At the end of the day, I review the goals. Have I achieved these? Yes, yes, yes. No. Pass over to tomorrow. And how did I achieve these here? And I do a little bit of celebration of the goals I have achieved. And that sets me up really well for my family time. I feel like I've had a real working impact. I feel like my day's been a success. I feel like I've justified the time I spend with my family. The final one on goals is to review the goals the next morning again. What did I do yesterday that was a success? What do I need to refresh again today in order to be successful? And that sets you up well for the day. That sets you up on a buzz. I'm going to have a great impact here. This is what I managed to achieve yesterday. I'm going forward with momentum. So great stuff there. And finally, the last one is me. Have I taken enough breaks throughout my working day? We cannot concentrate and focus on work all day. We need to take that little moment away. Second one, am I hydrated and eating healthily? Just a little kind of percentage drop in hydration has a huge impact on your brain function. I once heard it was 2% dehydration had a 20% impact on your brain function. I'll go away and Google that later and let you know if I got it right. That's me working off what I remember. But yes, are we really fueling ourselves and hydrating to be elite performers? And the final one in and around the me piece is, am I switching off at the end of the working day? Am I really just getting away from that working environment? Am I giving myself the break I need in order to recharge? I've taken this one a step further. Physical activity is a big one for me to recharge. I'm struggling with that at the minute. So if you have any advice for me, please comment below. I struggle on my feet. I use crutches for mobility. So if you're doing anything from the living room, if you're watching any good bloggers or anything, let me know. I'll check that out. But what I have done is I've set up a little place in my garden where I can do my own kind of concentration, my own meditation, my own mindfulness exercises. And this comes in the form of target rifle shooting. So I do a lot of shooting in my personal time, the Olympic style of small bore. I can't do that currently. The range is closed. But what I do have is I have an air rifle at home. I've got a very safe and secure place where I can shoot. You can see me doing my breathing exercises here. I'm completely focused on the task I am doing. I release a shot and hopefully I have a good impact. Target's a little bit low there, but you know what? Hey, first take. So this is me concentrating. This is me taking a break away from my working day. This is me doing something that recharges and gives a lot back to me. So what are you doing in that instance? So that's my kind of 4 layers that I use to really keep myself performing at my best in isolation. Just to recap, it is routine. It is the environment I'm creating around myself. It is the goals I'm setting throughout my personal and working life. And finally, it is the me piece. What am I doing to help myself recharge and reignite myself to be as good as I can be for the next day? So just to close it down a little bit, what are you doing to ensure that you thrive in isolation? What are you doing to maintain your high performing state? Comment below. Help others. What are you doing? Get that comment in there and really help them along. What do you do in this kind of world? My world is about to change. We only got notification last night that my nursery is closing down, so the kids are going to be coming home. I'm going to be looking after them through the day. I'm going to be trying to balance them and my working life. What are you doing in that instance? If you're balancing the kids and the working life, please tell me. I need some advice. This is going to hit me quite fast tomorrow morning. Wow, my world is going to change once again. The next session is with Rick Cockgreave. He is an absolute ninja. I would describe him as a guru. He is going to be talking about resilience and well-being. So please tune in on Thursday at 12 o'clock. It would be great if you really want to hear what he's got to say, is to subscribe here on YouTube and click that little notifications button, little bell. That will get you updates to say when and at what time and how you can find Rick whenever he's talking. Also check in on our social media, so things like our LinkedIn, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and we've got additional webinars. So Rick's doing resilience and well-being on Thursday. He's doing a webinar in depth that would be amazing for you to check in on. So if it does have that hook, if it is something you're interested in, please check him out. Thanks for checking in, guys. I've got a couple of questions here. What is harder to deal with, bored soldiers or bored kids? I would say the stress levels that they both bring you are equal. I would say bored soldiers are the more difficult, because imagine kids, but with the belief that they can pretty much do anything and get away with it. That is soldiers in essence. Anybody who's led or commanded soldiers, it is an absolute challenge. But I think it set me up really well for this year. So thank you for that question. But yes, I think board soldiers are a little bit more challenging. What we're going to do now is we're going to sign off. But as I said before, this is a community. We are not suggesting we have all of the answers. Please get some of your solutions in below. Please ask more questions. Thanks for checking in. My final piece on this here has been the most warming part of the whole COVID challenge for me, has been the sense of community, the sense of society. That clap for the frontline workers the other night was emotional, and it was so profound. My previous life was very removed from where we are now. It was quite dangerous. But you know what? I'm still feeling the stresses and strains of isolation, despite being in a very comfortable place with lots of methods of communication. So yeah, please take time for yourselves, build that community around yourselves and the people around you, and support one another. Be kind, and I hope to see you all on Thursday. All the best now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.